estimating. Is that true? We're going to work on some more estimation. You go, good. But this time, we're going to estimate using what? We're going to ask, this is an important detail. What's a true mean again? What do we represent that with? Mu. So we're going to estimate a true mean with a what? With a small sample. What is a small sample? A sample size no more than 30. It's really 30 and under. And when you do that, though, I'm going to introduce you guys. I got to find another color. I guess I'll use green. No, what do I use? All right, we'll use pink. Pretty in pink. You guys see that there? Now, this is kind of realistic. What's realistic is theta is unknown. So if our theta is unknown, like the what I would say to you guys, the population standard deviation is unknown, then we use the t distribution. Okay, or if the sample size is no more than 30, if the sample size is small. So this is kind of a real important detail. Now, theta being unknown means you have to use S. It's a sample standard deviation because the true standard deviation is unknown. So really, this isn't a detail. And then you go, what is T? Well, you know what T is called formally? T is formally known as the student's distribution. It's a t distribution. So when you have an unknown population standard deviation, you're going to use the t distribution, not the z distribution. T distribution. And the t distribution is known formally as the student's distribution. Okay, now the student's distribution, this is the name of it. Now, the reason it's called a student distribution isn't because it's about students necessarily at all. You see, when you discover or you invent, or I should say when you not necessarily create, but when you kind of prove and do original work in mathematics, you get to name it anything you want. You get the right to name it. So what that means is a lot of times mathematicians, they name things after themselves because it's their original work. So they name it after themselves. Well, the person that did the t distribution to compute a margin of error when your standard deviation is population standard deviation is unknown, got to rely on a sample standard deviation, or you have a small sample. Excuse me. It was a high school teacher that created the t distribution, and the t distribution resembles the z distribution. So this is why you see these like t values here in your confidence level picture. Okay, because the high school teacher that did the original work on this decided to name it the student's distribution. How cute. It's cute, you know what I mean? So T approximates Z. So I'm going to do this is how I remember. T approximates Z when you have either small samples under 30 or really with the real situation where the population standard deviation is not known. And that's typically the most realistic situation. It's not going to be known. So, in all honesty, a lot of what we kind of did has to go back to that t distribution. But anyway. So now that you guys know that, and yes, there was historically a t table. You go, Mr. Judge, there was a T table? Yeah, back in the day, we had to learn another table. Oh my gosh. And so now what I'm doing for you guys is I'm giving you guys some of the same questions. But this time, notice they're going to be for a small what? Sample. What's a small sample? Sample size no more than what? 30. So just kind of want to let you guys know that in my notes there for you guys. This is kind of the more realistic version of what you do using the T distribution as opposed to the Z distribution. It's not as realistic because a lot of times, again, you don't know the population standard deviation. So take a look at this first question, right? If we read it like we've been reading it, what does it say? You have, what do you have again here? You got a sample of what? Sample of 25 college students indicate it took them a mean of 6.8 years with a standard deviation of 0.9 years to earn a bachelor's degree. Okay, whatever, not a big deal. It's not where you start, it's where you end. Use the 99% confidence interval to do what? To estimate what? Your true mean. So this is going to be for estimating what? Mu, the true mean. And notice, yes, it's going to be the T distribution because what's the reason? Well, let's go back and take a look. Remember the process we've been doing? What do? We're going to write down, this is estimating the mean. So the sample mean minus your error, less than the true mean, less than the sample mean plus your error. And now we write down the sample information. Wasn't that everything we've been doing? What's my sample size in this? N is 25. Good. What's the sample mean? 6.8. What's the sample standard deviation? 0.9. So I write that down. N is 25. Sample mean is what? 6.8. Sample standard deviation is 0.9. And what kind of confidence level do they want us to have now? What do they say? The 99% confidence level. Is that right? You guys with me on this? So this is what you use for a small what? Sample. We're going to use all of this information. You guys okay with this? So what you learned today, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, what are you learning today? Can I share with you guys? It's not going to be using the T table. It's going to be using the what? The TI calculator. You're going to say, wow, what do you guys do now? How do we use this here? You know what we're going to use today? What's this called? The T what? Interval. Not the Z interval. The what? T interval. You say, why? Because you have a what? Small sample. T interval for the TI. Now that we should color it pink. Pretty in pink. What do you guys think? You just have to know what a small sample is. What's a small sample? Sample size under 30 there. 30 or less, really. All right. Sorry. Okay. Let's get that out of the way. All right. Let's go to our TI. You guys ready for the TI? Go to stat. Go to what? Test. T interval. What's T interval? 8. T interval, ladies and gentlemen. Hit enter. Keep it on stats. What's the sample mean? 6.8. You see this SX? That's the sample standard deviation, ladies and gentlemen. What's the sample standard deviation? It's what? 0.9. What's the sample size? It's small. 25. Sometimes you have no choice but to take a small sample. What's the confidence level? 99. What do you guys think? That's all you do. Hit what? Enter. What do you guys get? What's your final answer? Yes, 6.297 less than mu, less than what? 7.303. Notice the sample mean was 6.8. Sample standard deviation is 0.9. Sample size is 25. It's a small sample. Sometimes you have no choice but to take a small sample in your life. You don't have a choice. It has to be small. I can illustrate to you guys why. Where's the iPad? Ladies and gentlemen, you got what? The lower bound value. You got the what? Upper bound value. We're estimating the true mean, which is mu, and we can say this with what? I want to reiterate this. With 99% confidence. What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? What do we just do? That based on a small sample, because sometimes you got no choice, you got to take a small sample, that the mean length of time it takes college students to get a 4-year degree is between 6.297 years and 7.303 years, based on this very small sample. T interval, ladies and gentlemen, estimating the mean for a small sample. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. T interval. You just have to remember what the small sample is. Now you might say to me, but Mr. Judge, why do we take a small sample? Sometimes you got no choice. You know, you guys, anybody here pay car insurance? You know how car insurance is expensive? Car insurance? You know how they used to figure out car insurance? This is back in the day. You know what they would do? Like if you had a car, what's an expensive car? There's a lot of, these days, every car is expensive. You guys know what I mean? These days, you know, I hate to say this. You know, I was at a Jeep dealer. My wife drives a Jeep, and we were at picking up a part for her brakes for her car. Just buying the parts because we're not gonna pay them to put it in. You know, buying the parts to put in ourselves. And you know, I hate car dealers because every time you know, if you just look at a car, what happens? They come out quick. And I'm trying to remember. I was looking at a Dodge truck. I think so. And I think I might be wrong. It was a pretty nice truck. I forget what kind it was. I was like, I'm just looking at this truck. You know how much that truck was? I think it was over $100,000. Yes, that's what I said. So I looked at the sticker, MSRP over $100,000 for a truck. I'm like, what? That's insane. I just left, and the guy comes out. Hey, can I help you? And you're like, no, thanks. $100,000. Oh, $100,000 for a truck. Are you kidding me? That's like a house. House in the desert or something, but it's a house. It's still like, are you guys nuts? Yes. Crazy. So I've been using this example for a long time, and it just dawned on me like, The book used to say, what did the book say? The book used to say Dodge Vipers, and they're like 125,000. Well, now this is a Dodge truck over 100,000. Yeah, I guess trucks are expensive. I hear. I used to have a Tundra, the Toyota Tundra. I love the Tundra. I love it. Oh my god, it was expensive though, but it was not over $100,000. Then yeah, they're always nice, very nice. But I'm not going to spend $100,000 on a car. I just refuse, ladies and gentlemen. I'll walk before I do that, because that's like a house. They're crazy. I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm done. Do you guys know what I mean? That's just insane. I don't know whoever thought of doing that. And I know they upped the sticker price, but anyway. And I'm venting about it, but this is how they used to do things, ladies and gentlemen. What they used to do, by the way, they would buy a car. These insurance companies, they'd buy a car. You know what they would do? They'd go crash them locally. And what they'd have what they call a typical collision. Okay? And then they get the repair bill. And then they would figure out, oh, this is the mean repair cost. This is standard deviation. They figure out what to charge customers for insurance based on crashing cars, perfectly good cars, sending them out locally to get fixed. Isn't that insane? Do you guys know what I mean? So you imagine if you were the insurance company and you're trying to figure out what to charge people for that Dodge truck. I forget which one it was. Are you going to buy 500 trucks that cost over $100,000? No. If you said that, you know what would happen? They'd fire you. You guys know what I mean? They'd fire you. So then you're forced to take a what? Small what? Sample. You guys with me on that? You're not going to buy 500. You might buy 11. That's enough. You guys see what I'm saying? So that's the classic story behind why sometimes you got no choice but to do what? To take a small sample. Sometimes you got no choice. So if that's the case and you had to estimate the true mean, typically you do that. You would use the T distribution. In the TI world, it's called T interval. And that's the deal. That's the deal. Small samples. What? T interval. Okay? And so that's not so bad. What do you guys think? Is that easy? Let's do another. Do you want to do insomnia? I don't think I want to do insomnia. You guys do a nice thing. You want to do insomnia treatment question? You want to do that one? Okay, that's fine. Maybe you guys like that. It's good. It's good to learn, I guess. Okay, in a clinical trial to test the effectiveness of a drug on insomnia patients that had, okay, now let's just read this, okay? We want to read. All right. Clinical trial was conducted to test the effectiveness of a drug on insomnia patients that had a mean wake time of 108.6 minutes without the drug. Now, when I read that first statement, you want to know what they're saying, really? They're just kind of defining what insomnia might be, you know? You guys know what? They call that a mean wake time. That's the time that you put your head on the pillow and it takes you to fall asleep. They measure that stuff, by the way. You know, they could measure it by connecting your brain to or your body and your brain to various whatever it is, right? They can say, okay, you fell asleep. So evidently, people with insomnia, they gathered data and they had a mean wake time of 108.6 minutes. That's like almost 2 hours. Could you imagine? Could you imagine you put your head down at 8 and it takes 10 o'clock for you to fall asleep? Anybody have that problem? Anybody here have insomnia like that? I hope not. It's horrible, isn't it? It's horrible. So what are they saying? A sample of what? Let's get out our red marker, because you guys know every time I read the phrase sample, what do? I bring out the red marker. 18 patients. What did they do? They took a drug, and then what did they report? A mean wake time of 96.2 minutes with a what? Standard deviation of 43.6 minutes. Okay? It's an interesting kind of question. That's sample information. And then what do they say now? They say what? Use the what? 95% confidence interval to do what? Estimate the true mean wake time. So by now, hopefully you guys see, even by colors here, I'm going to estimate a true mean, okay? Because this sample information is only, some, it's a sample. It's not the population. So we're going to estimate the true mean. Now, what do? What's the sample information say? What does that sample information say? Sample of what? 18. What does that mean? Isn't that the sample size? Isn't that small? That's small, isn't it? I got to know that. What was the mean wake time with the medication? 96.2. What was the standard deviation? 43.6. What's the confidence level? 95. What function in the TI do I use, ladies and gentlemen? We use what? T what? Interval. Today's a small sample day. What do you guys think? Pretty nice? But this is how some of this stuff is. This is how some things are done scientifically. Okay, this is real kind of good information. So, ladies and gentlemen, go to the calculator and do what? Go to stat, tests. Today, you look for, what do we look for today? T interval. What was it yesterday? Good. What's the main difference? There are differences. The Z interval is used for large samples and really when you have a population standard deviation. That's very unrealistic, though. If you guys want to know the truth, that's unrealistic because you may not have the population standard deviation. So anyway, if you do, fine. You say, what did you get it? Maybe a past study, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, let's enter this. What's the mean again? 96.2. What's your standard deviation from the sample? 43.6. What's the sample size? 18. What was the confidence level in this one? 95. Okay. Calculate this, and what does it give you? This is the mean wake time, ladies and gentlemen. 74.518 minutes, less than mu, less than 117 point what? 88 minutes. Okay, you guys okay with that? So you got the lower bound value, you got the upper bound value, and that here, this is the mean, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. You use what? T interval. So the true mean wake time is between 74.5 minutes and 117.888 minutes. So I don't know, maybe the drug helped, but that's kind of how you go about doing the data analysis on this, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let me go back and talk about the 95% confidence level, because that's important to know as well. You guys remember how all of these questions will have a confidence level. And it's important to know what that means. So I'm going to let you guys know, I'm going to remind you guys, what in the world does this confidence level stuff really mean? Do you guys know what it means? Here's the deal. You see how this is one sample of size 18? So they took one sample of size 18, and the mean was 96.2. Okay? That's only one sample. If you take another sample of the exact same size, what do you think the mean might be? It's not going to be 96.2 exactly. Probably not. Maybe, but it'll be close to 96.2. Take a third sample of sample size 18. Compute the sample mean. You know what you might get? It might be close to 96.2, but it'll be a different number. So if you take 100 samples of size 18, you can get 100 different means. They might be close. If you take 1,000 samples of size 18, you're going to get 1,000 different means. If you take an arbitrarily large number of samples of size 18, what does arbitrarily large mean? It's not 100,000, it's not a million, it's not a billion. It's larger. It's going to infinity. All of the same sample size. What the confidence level means is this. In this example, 95%. What that confidence level means, ladies and gentlemen, is 95% of the sample means are going to be between these two numbers. I'll say that again. 95% of the sample means will be between these two numbers. 95%. That's what that means. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now you say, what is this idea here with 99%? Well, this is what this means. If you take an arbitrarily large number of samples, all of size 25, in this first one, the sample means 6.8. But if you took more than that, like not change the sample size, fix the sample size at 25. If I did this process 100,000 times more, 1,000,000 times more, 1,000,000,000 times more, if you did it that number of times, you know what you'd get? 99% of the time, you'd get a sample mean between these two numbers. 99% of the time, your sample mean will live between 6.297 and 7.303. This is the meaning behind the confidence level. Okay, you guys see what I'm saying? It's a pretty big deal. But what do you guys think? Is the T interval really easy? All you got to do is get that TI, fire it up, ladies and gentlemen. Fire up the TI. And then, what about this question here? Okay, what is this question here? What does it say? A survey of what? 25 male college students report a mean age of 26.6 years with a standard deviation of 3.8 years. Okay? use the what? 90% confidence level to do what? Estimate the true mean age of male college students. All right. Estimate the true age of male college students. Okay, you guys okay with that? Now, I don't know about you guys. Let me give you guys a little background on this idea about male college students. You guys know, maybe you don't. Maybe you've made this observation, I don't know. Do you guys know for a long time there's been more women in colleges and universities than men? Do you guys know that? Take a look in your classes. How about even in this class? Let's take a look around the room. I get my glasses on because I can't see without them. Are there more women in the room than men? Why? Why are there more women than men? How come why aren't men going to college? What's the story? This is not even a proportion or percent question. But, we're going to be working with more things in our future with this stuff, and we'll look at that stuff. But I just want to give you guys background information on these kind of things because, people say those math instructors don't know about anything other than numbers. That's not true. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, there's been a lot more women in colleges and universities than a lot more women in colleges and universities than men. Some, like medical and law schools, are exclusively women. There's only women there. So the question's always been for years, right? Here's the question. Where are all the men? I'm going to ask you guys this question. Where are the men? Where are the men? We just added more what? Estrogen in the room. Where are the men? Anybody know? It's kind of interesting. This is a lot. This is really fascinating. If you guys aren't fascinated, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. You know what the story has been? And it's actually, if you look at demographics, let me bring this up because you guys should be bringing this up. This is especially true for Latin males. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Woo! There was even years ago, I remember, I don't know how many years ago it was, 10 years ago maybe? There was this, where's the Latin male in colleges and universities? Where is he? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? There's missing. He's missing. Raise your hand if you're a Latin male in the room. Where are the Latin males? Okay. Good, yes. I don't know. All right. So let's ask the fellas in the room. Where are all the guys at? You ladies don't listen. This is guy time. This is our time. Where are the guys at? Do you guys know? If you had to answer that kind of question. You see, because it's kind of important for you guys to understand when you're working with some of these questions, they have real meaning. It's not just, let's punch the numbers in the TI and write down an approximate. This stuff has meaning. You guys want to understand the meaning behind some of these studies, why you look at it. It starts to help you think. I had to write something yesterday about these issues, some of these bills that are going on. I had to write some comments about statistics. I'll share with you guys one day when they let me. Because right now they won't let me. But that's what I brought up. I brought some of these issues up. So where are the Latin men in colleges and universities? What are they doing? Men in general, but Latin men in particular. It's even true for African American men, and I got to look at the data on that too. So where are they? Where are your buddies at? All right, ladies, let's put you guys on the spot. Where are your brothers at? If you're a Latin lady, where's your brother? Is he in school? He's at work. Where's your boyfriend? If it's a Latin boyfriend, where's he? Work. Where's your Latin husband if your husband's Latin? Where is he? Work. So what's the deal? What am I getting at? Choosing work over education. That's right. Why? There might be a couple of reasons why people study this stuff. Why? Maybe they need to. It's not unreasonable to think that maybe they need to. There might be reasons. Yes. Could be. Yeah, I know. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the reasons why I think I pointed out to some people in the past is there was wars going on. And if you've ever been in the military, you might know for being enlisted, there's a very high percentage of people of color in the enlisted ranks. Not the officer ranks, but the enlisted ranks. So you might see, a greater percentage of Latin males enlisted, African Americans enlisted than the general population. So there are working, I should say to you, not necessarily by choice, but because you have to. So now some guys may make that choice, to work over school. That happens too. Or yes, go to a trade. That happens too. But, there's more women in colleges and universities than men. Now, let me give you guys a theory behind that. Okay, you guys ready? Don't get mad at me. It ain't my theory. This comes from the social science folks. It's their theory. This is what they say. Not me. But there could be some truth to it. Could be. Some people believe that women have to be more educated to make the same amount of money as men. Is that true? I wouldn't say. It depends on the circles you're in. Depends on the industry you're in. Now, you might be in a location where, your sex or gender has nothing to do with what you get paid. Like for me, male faculty members get paid the same as female. There's no they don't pay any different. But in the private industry, maybe you're a VP who's a female and a VP who's a male. That might be a very different story. Okay, you guys understand what I'm saying? So it depends, I think, on the location. So I just want to throw that out there, give you guys some background behind a lot of the questions we look at and why we look at it. Because it's meaningful, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just punch it in the TI, although we do that. It's a lot of meaningful things. It's pretty deep. You guys want to think about this stuff because this is the stuff that's going on out there. People are talking about some of these things and these ideas. I just did some stuff yesterday, So when I made up this question, I was thinking about some of this stuff. That you might even see a difference between the ages of men and women in colleges. There might be a difference there too. And then the question's why. So I get to share with you guys how to compute it, what the stuff kind of means, right? What does a 90% confidence level mean? Estimating a true mean, but then you guys get to go back and discuss and debate in your disciplines, all these nice things. Right? You guys okay with that? It's kind of interesting. But I don't know. I'm just thinking to myself. Oh. Do a lot of men choose to work over going to school? Think so? Pressured to it? So are you saying as a guy, you think you're more pressured by people to go to work or to go to school? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I thought a lot. I've been thinking about this stuff a little bit, as I'm aging, and I've been thinking about more and more about it. Um, I think I'm very lucky in the sense that I had. I don't think this is shared in a lot of households, even a lot of Latin households. As a Latin male, there wasn't so much pressure on me to work, but there certainly was pressure on going to school. That may not be true with a lot of households, though. That may not be true. There might be more pressure to work than to go to school. I was very lucky in that it's kind of interesting. I have an Irish father and I have a Mexican grandfather. And sometimes people like to think, well, it was your Irish dad. No, it wasn't my Irish dad. A lot of it came from my Mexican grandfather. He was the one that got me to nag me practically every day. Go to school, Daniel. Go to school. So he was the one. But he was a little different. Based on his life experiences were very different. So he kind of pressured his sons to go to school. All his children, even his daughters, everybody. May not be what people experience at home. Some people don't have parents that pressure them to go to school. I know people like that. Their parents never pressure them to go to school. Never encourage them to go to school. Interesting. So let's ask you guys. Should we test you? Who's pressuring you to go to school? Yourself? What's that? Good. I was that kid. My dad was gonna kick me out of the house. My Irish dad. That white man. He said, Daniel, because I didn't want to go to college. I didn't want to go to school. Who wants to continue this? I didn't want to go. He says, Daniel, you're going to go to school. And you're going to work. So he did both. It's like, what? And if you don't, I'm kicking you out of the house. Like, what? That was the deal. I was going to get kicked out. So I'm just going to join the Marines. I don't care. And he's like, no, you're not going to do that too. You didn't want me to do that, right? I said, yeah, I guess so. What am I going to do? So I guess he would talk to my grandfather. My grandfather would get to me too. And he would bug me. Like, you're going to school. My grandfather was in the military. He was in World War II. He was in Korea. His son was in Vietnam. So it's his. He was if you guys know about the military, he was a high-ranking sergeant. He was an NCO. He was in charge of all the discipline kind of thing. That's what I had to grow up with, the disciplinarian, because the sergeants are in charge of discipline. So I had to hear it from him. Go to school, go to school, go to school. But anyway, I was going to get kicked out. I was like, I don't care. Then I'll join the Marines. And I'm going to get out of here. I don't want to go to school. That was the deal. You go to school, I'll pay your car insurance. Actually, I had to walk. I'll pay your car insurance. That's it. But you're going to have to get a job, and you're going to have to do this too. So I had to work and go to school. I had to do both. There's no, that's the expectation. So yeah, maybe there is something behind who's pressuring you to go to school. Let's ask you, who's pressuring you? Yourself. You don't get that pressure. Who's pressuring the nice lady behind you? Oh, you get the or work or go to school. Oh, good. Who's pressuring you, the gentleman? Parents? Good. Pressuring you? Parents? Pressuring the lady? Pressuring you? Pressuring you? Self? Huh? Your master? Pressuring you? Okay. Pressuring you. Good for you guys. I still have to pay bills. Jeez, man. With the deal that old man judge. That old man judge. I even said to my dad, Dad, did you save any money to send me to school? No. What the hell? You could use that one on your parents. Why don't you pay for my school then? No. They didn't want to pay for my school. I mean, you didn't save any money to send me to school? Nope. You're going to go to community college. And you're going to work. What a deal. Anyway. It makes me think sometimes, ladies and gentlemen. So what do you guys know about that sample? Sample size is what? 25, is that right? What's the sample mean? What's the sample standard deviation? What's the confidence level? What are we estimating? True mean. So that format is what? Sample mean minus the error less than the true mean less than the sample mean plus your error. All right, you guys okay with that? So we're going to write down the sample information again. So what's the sample size? 25. Sample mean is what? 26.6. Sample standard deviation? 3.8. Confidence level? 90% confidence, and that's going to be point what? 90. Now remember, what's the focus on today? What's our focus? Why do they have a T? Why is that a T? What does that represent? The student's distribution. Why? Because this is a small what? Sample. What's a small sample? Anything under what? 30. They say no more than 30, but whatever. Okay, what do you guys use in the TI for a small sample? You might want to write it down. What do we use? T interval. That's the essence today. The T interval. So, ladies and gentlemen, there it is. That's our essence. So you go to the TI. Here we go. Okay, T interval today. Stat test, T interval number 8. All right, there you go. It's on stats. Now, what's the deal? What is the sample mean? 26.6. What's the sample standard deviation? 3.8. That's the SX there. Sample size we know is what? 25. What's the confidence level? 90.90. Hit calculate, and what do you guys get? 25 point what? 3. 25.3, less than mu, less than 27.9. You can say this with 90% what? Confidence, okay? So let's look at this in the iPad. So what I'm saying to you guys now is 25.3 at the lower value, 27.9 at the upper value, and then 90% confidence level. So this is about the age of male college students. So you can look at demographic information and go, you know, the true mean age of male college students is somewhere between 25.3 and 27.9. We can say this with 90% confidence. And, you know, we might even want to compare the age of female college students and try to see, I wonder who's older, who's younger, what's the story, what's going on there? Let's try to figure that part out, right? What's the deal? And again, this is male college students in general, but you can start to look at male college students in particular of any ethnicity. You'll probably see differences. And if you see differences, you want to understand why. Okay, you guys understand that? You know, we just don't look at data, crunch numbers for the sake of crunching numbers. It tells us a story. All right, what do you guys think? Estimating a true mean. Now, I'm going to transition to you guys on a question here, okay? Let me see if I have it. No, I'm going to transition here. Where's my notes? Here, you guys. I'm going to give you guys a transition here, okay? What if I said to you guys, I'm going to do something kind of simple. I'm going to gather data, and I'm going to ask you, how much sleep did you get last night? All right? Yeah. Let's check. How much sleep did you get last night? How many hours? 5. Okay. 8. Okay. 7. 4. The lady who's asleep. How come you guys are getting 5 hours? Why do you guys only get 5 hours? Why 4? Netflix? Huh? Work. When I've asked this question in the past, I've had some answers that were like 0. Because somebody worked graveyard. People do that. Was that you? Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I've been there. I was that guy too. How many years were you at ELAC, Mr. Judge? Like 4 years. I was a part-time student. How many years did it take you to after you transferred? Another 3 years. How about graduate school? Another 3 years. You go, why? It's part-time. Yeah, I had to work and go to school. You guys know old man Judge. You didn't save any money. You didn't pay for my school. Yeah, it must be nice if somebody, imagine that. Isn't that kind of nice? Yeah, I know. You imagine that? Oh, I'm sending you to a private school. You're going to go to Georgetown. Yes. Go hang out and have the college life. Yes. I'll see you later. I'm going to Georgetown for 4 years. Don't have to work. I just hang out and parents paid for your school. I'm not hating. I'm not hating. I'm saying good for you. Man, good for you. Just didn't happen to me, but good for you. I'm not hating on that. So if I said to you guys, and here's what's going to happen, they're going to give you something like this. They're going to say, use the 95% confidence level to estimate the true mean sleep time. What would you do? How would you handle that? I'm going to say this, ladies and gentlemen. Where did you get this list of data from? This list of data was your what? That's your sample. Do you guys know what the sample size is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, you guys with me on that? Is that a small sample? Yeah. So here's what you're going to need to do. Do you guys remember, what do you guys need if you've seen this information? What do we need? We need a sample mean and we need a sample standard deviation, don't we? We know the confidence level. What's the confidence level? 95. %95 confidence level. Do you guys remember how to get the mean and standard deviation? Say what? Yes. What do I mean by that? Did you guys have a test on that? Yes. Is that going to be on your final? Yes. Was that easy to do? Yes. Let's go to the TI, and remember what we do. You go to stat what? Stat edit. Don't you have to put this in a list? There you go. Do you guys remember how to put a list? Stat edit. I have a worksheet for you guys there. We did it. It was on your test. Enter the data. 5. What's the next value? 8. What's the next value? 7. What's the next value? 5. And then a what? 6. And then a what? 4. And then a what? 5, ladies and gentlemen. You enter this data into L1, the list. You had a test on that. It's coming back. How did you get the mean? I wish I had my sound effects. Go stat, calculate, 1 variable stats. It's already on it. You guys remember that? It's back. Isn't all that data in list 1? Okay, then hit calculate. And ladies and gentlemen, do you guys remember that? What's your sample mean? Let's go to the nearest tens here. 5 point what? What's the sample standard deviation? That's the SX. Do you guys remember I said that to you guys? Oh, sample standard deviation's right there. It's the SX. What is it to the nearest tenth? This is 1.4. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is back here. You have all the information to use in your TI calculator because this is a small sample. What does the TI say to use? T what? Interval. Pretty in pink. So now you could go to the TI and you go, okay, TI, how do I estimate? You go to stat test now. I got to go to T interval again. That's number 8. Is that right? T interval. What do we enter? What's the sample mean? We just found out that's 5.7. Is that right? What's the sample standard deviation? We just found out it's what? 1.4. What was the sample size? 7. What was the confidence level? 95. So double check. What do you get now? Yeah, what's the mean sleep time for the sample we just did? 4.405 less than mu, less than what? 6.99, not 4, but what? 5, and this is with 95% what? Confidence. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, when they give you a list of data, sometimes they do. When they give you a list of data, ladies and gentlemen, a data list, you're going to have to go back in the past, but that's okay because you're going to see it on your next test and final anyway. So you're going to have to go back in your past and dig out how to find the mean and standard deviation. Enter a list of data. What do you guys think? So based on this sample, you know what we can say? Students sleep between 4.405 hours and 6.995 hours. We can say this with 95% confidence. It's a small sample. We use the T interval for a small sample. What do you guys think? Is that impossible? I think it just means you have to practice with your TI. If I were you, when you go to sleep at night, put your TI next to you. Put it under your pillow. Your TI is your best friend. You guys think I'm kidding, but I'm not. I sleep next to my calculator. Let me do something really quick for you guys and show you guys something. You know how we have this other thing here? I guess I have to show you, right? What was this? This is T interval. You guys see what I'm saying? You know how it says data and stat? What if I scroll over and hit the data side? You see how I did data? I can do this with data, but what list does it go to and use? L1. Is this a 95% confidence? Yes. So I could do this after I just hit the data in L1. I don't have to get the mean and standard deviation. I just go to I tell it, go to L1 and calculate, and what should you get? You say, Mr. Judge, this looks like slightly different than what you just gave me. They have 4.5379. They got 6.9907. But then their mean is 5.7142857114. Their standard deviation is 1.38013111119. Sample size is 7. So why is it slightly different? Does anybody know why? This is what I'm saying. Our answers were slightly different than if I did L1 in that list. Why? Do you guys know why? Here's a TI. Because we approximated the mean and the standard deviation. We threw information and data away. So this is more accurate because it kept as much data as possible. Look at the mean. That's not the tenths. Look at the standard deviation. That's not the tenths. So they use more accurate values in the computation than we did. And because of that, the answer is going to be slightly different. So I just want to throw that out there that you can do this really by going to the data list if you wanted. You'll get a slightly different answer, a more accurate version. Don't panic. The next question people say to me, which one do you want, Mr. Judge? And I'll say, it doesn't matter. You say, why? Because I already know what's going on. That's why. Now, if you look at your homework, right, you go, what's on my homework? I already put there on your homework for homework 4. Remember Statistics Lecture 13? So where is Statistics Lecture 13? So if you guys want to remember, how do you get the mean, variance, and standard deviation? Remember I just did that? I made a worksheet for you guys there. Okay, this is under that statistics transition. Remember this? That's what I just did earlier. So you guys remember that? That's what I just did. Go over here. This is what I'm saying in the browser. So on this statistic, this is a lot of my worksheets, right? Remember that? This is where you get all the notes. And these are actually other videos on this. Anyway, so what about the homework? You go, let's go back to the homework here, right? Statistics Lecture 13. I just want to remind you guys, this is the homework is. This is the worksheet. 1 to, I said do 1 to 8 all. On Monday, we're going to do 9 to 12 on Monday. So, yeah, anyway, let me see. I think I have to give you guys all of these. I have to modify it. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to say 1 to 18 all. I'm going to edit this. But 9 through 12, we're going to do on Monday. Okay? So as you guys can see, what I did give you here is like, you guys see this here for number 17 and 18 and 16? What did they do? They gave you what? A list of data. That's small, isn't it? And yeah, they're kind of, a principal asked 6 students to take an aptitude test. Here's their scores. All right, whatever. The amount of ounces in juice in 8 bottles. All right. A football coach selects 10 players. How long each player took to perform a certain drill. All right. I'm not saying these questions are what? Oh, what do we say? Interesting. But they're still data questions. And this is the more experience you guys have on different kinds of ways that data is expressed and asked, the better it is for you. I'm not saying these questions are sexy, ladies and gentlemen. You guys know what I mean? You guys know what I'm really saying? It's not like we're talking about Bigfoot or ghosts of the Llorona or tacos or whatever, right? This is like ounces of juice. Anyway, okay. We'll see you guys later. I hope you guys enjoy the lecture. Get started on your homework now. Don't wait for the weekend before. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Stay safe.